everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. What we're going to do today is a video. It's kind of an extension to a video we've already done called Living Off the Land. It's the time of the year when things are beginning to get ready. The fall is the time of the year when wild things in the woods begin to mature and get ready for gathering, ready for harvesting. And what we want to do today is take you on that journey with us, and we want to show you some of the things in the fall. Now, not everything gets ready in the fall. Lots of things come in the spring. Now you see over my shoulder right back here behind me, there's huckleberry bushes in the woods, all in here everywhere. But now huckleberries only get ready in the early spring. So that's one of the things, God made it where in the wild, if you're trying to live off the land, there's things that get ready all year long. The things that get ready in the fall are the things that are really loaded with protein and nutrition because they're made to carry you through the cold winter months. Now, we're going to show you, I know 3 things right now that I can think of on our homestead here that is getting ready to survive off the land with. We're going to show you some of the acorns that, or edible acorns on our land. Matter of fact, we're going to show you 2 types of acorns. One you have to boil to get the tannins out, to grind up to make bread. The other can be eaten like a chestnut. It's actually a wild chestnut. It's a chinquapin. We're going to show you that. We're going to show you the wild persimmon. It's a very highly nutritious. It's very sweet when it gets ready. We're going to show you those, and I'm going to try to take you around. We're going to look and see if we can find, a lot of people, they make soups and stuff for the wintertime, and they're extremely watery. What we're going to try to do is we're going to try to show you one of the trees here, the sassafras tree. The sassafras tree, you can actually take the leaves and you can dry it, and you can crush them up and make a fine powder out of them, and it's the same exact ingredients. It's in filet, what you put in gumbos and stuff like that and use as a thickener if you don't have anything like cornstarch or anything like that and you're trying to survive off the land. You can take the sassafras leaf and dry it and crush it up into a powder, and you can use it as a thickener just like you would cornstarch. So we're going to take you on this journey and show you some of these things on the homestead. There's so many people this time of the year. It's the fall of the year. People don't know what to do or when to do it or how to gather or anything like that. They don't even know what they're looking for. So I wanted to kind of bring out a few things today to show you about surviving off of the landscape. Now, what we're at here now is we're up under one of our oak trees. You know, in a survival situation and you needed to survive, acorns are edible. You just have to know what kind of acorns. You have to know when you can gather them. You can't just gather acorns any time of the year. That's the thing about surviving off of the landscape, is the simple fact you have to eat in season. You can't just eat anything you want any time of the year. That's something that the grocery stores has got us so familiar with, just going to town, just getting what we want when we want it. We can eat anything any time of the year. But if a life-changing event takes place, you can't just eat what you want when you want. You've got to learn to eat in season. You've got to learn to eat what is available at that time. Now, and you've got to really store up when it's available. Now, here today, we have on the ground here, I don't know how well you can see it, but we have acorns here. These are a Spanish type acorn, a live oak acorn. The early settlers and the early Native Americans, they would take these acorns and they would boil them, and they would get the tannins out of them, and then they would dry them. Then they would beat them into a powder, and they would make things like breads and then different bread type products, puddings and different things like that out of these. So one of the things on the landscape here, as you can see, we have these acorns here, and they're all over the ground here, everywhere, because this is the time of the year that they're falling, and this is going to be one of the first things that I'm going to tell you about if you're trying to survive off of a landscape, is to look for the acorns in the area and know that they are edible. One of the things you want to realize is what time of the year it is. Now, it's September here. It's the it's not the end of September, but it's the last week or so of September. And the acorns are already falling on the ground. We've noticed in several places that pecans have started falling. Wanda and I was at a place the other day and pecans were already all over the ground. That's another edible source. You know, you want to check out your nut varieties and see what's available. And I'm going to take you to some other varieties that we have on our homestead here and show you some more of the edible things on the landscape that you can do for survival foods. Okay guys, I want to show y'all one of the limbs in the trees here and what you look for. Here's an acorn. They look like this right here. They've got their little cone and they're in there. You go up the limb. There's another one right here. They're kind of tricky to see sometimes. Another one right there. Another one right here. That's what you want to look for. You can break them out if you need to gather them that way. Okay, this is what they look like when they first come out of the hull. They're still green. You're better off if you can let them dry a little bit and not be green. The tannins won't be quite so strong in them. Okay guys, this right here is what you call a chinquapin. Now on our homestead here, we have these growing in the woods everywhere. Now, this is another one of your survival foods that only comes in the fall. Now these aren't quite mature yet. They lack probably, just judging by looking at them there, probably another couple of weeks. Maybe not even 2 weeks, maybe just another week. They'll be opening up, and inside these chinquapin, now these are like little needles. If you reach up there and grab that thing, you're gonna end up with a stick, thorns in your hands, and they break off in there and you can't get them out. But when these things open up, this is like a miniature chestnut. It has 3 things that opens up on it, and inside it will be a little pointed acorn. Now these acorns, you don't have to boil these acorns. These acorns are very edible. Lots of times when I'm in the woods, if I find a chinquapin tree around here in the fall, I'll go through and pick these, and when I do, I just start eating them because them things have the best taste to them. They're like a miniature chestnut. So this is survival food number 2 on the homestead. Chinquapins. All right, here we are. Another one of our survival foods on the homestead that's actually getting ready now this time of the year in the fall. We have these persimmons here. These persimmons are edible. They are very sweet. They're like candy if you pick them at the right time. You get them at the wrong time, they're so astringent, they'll actually draw your earlobes in there. I mean, they're like alum powder if you get them when they're too green, like this one here. This is not edible. This one right here is just on the verge of being edible. This one right here is edible. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like when you pull it open on the inside. You see how bright orange that flesh is? That's just as sweet as any candy you've ever eaten. And it is really, really good. Makes some of the best breads and pies that you can get to eat. So on your homesteads, you got some persimmons, you can eat and enjoy it in the fall. Now keep your eyes open on your homestead. If you have these trees that we've talked about here, these are great survival foods on the homestead. But you have to be very aware of when these things get ready, because any of the foods that I've told you about so far are foods that the animals literally love. Possums, coons, hogs, deer, all those love these foods. These are also good food sources if you're hunting. You can hunt over them. They're good natural food plots, but they're also very good foods for human consumption. So be aware of the foods when they become available and try to get them as fast as you can and store them up, because they are definitely, and let me say something else about the persimmon. You cannot store the persimmon up. The only way to store it is to freeze it. You can't heat it in any way to store it. You can't can it or anything like that. You have to freeze it in order to store it. All right, guys, this is one of the young sassafras trees growing on the property here. I got it bent over. Now, this is the young version of it. The little leaves can be long and elongated like that, or on the same tree, they can be lobed like this. The way you'll know for sure is if you dig on the root of the tree, it smells like root beer if you disturb it. Now you can gather these leaves, these lobe-shaped leaves like this, and dry them. And once you get them good and dry, then you can crush them up. You can do it between your hands, or you can put them in a food processor, a blender, or a coffee blender, or anything like that, coffee grinder. And you can turn these into a real fine powder that you can add into any type of soups or anything like that as a thickener. So on your homestead, keep your eye open for things like sassafras trees, because they do have several uses. You can actually take the bark off of the root and make a tea out of it. Basically, people do that in the early spring and the late fall when the sap is down in the tree. So a couple of things you can do with that tree there. You can make a sassafras drink. It tastes like kind of a root beery taste, and then you can grind the leaves to make a thickener out of. So this is another tree on the homestead for living off the land. Okay, I want to tell y'all thank you for coming along on this journey with us. I hope you've enjoyed us showing you some of the things on our homestead here for living off the land. I know it wasn't a lot of things, but you know, there again, it's the fall, and not everything is ready in the fall. So thank you from Deep South Homestead.